Welcome to Story Time. Here is the recap of the film Spell, or a kidnapped father who must be sacrificed during the blood moon will do everything to save his family from this diabolical threat. Happy in his married life, here is Marquis T. Woods in full teasing with his wife, Viora Woods, who is impatiently waiting for him to finally release her from the toilet where she is locked up. Brilliant leader of a reputable law firm where he flourishes fully, he is surprised by a phone call from Kentucky announcing the tragic news of his father's death. Reunited with their daughter Samsara and their son Titan, he upsets the weekend schedule to fly to Cypress Ridge, offer their condolences and honor the memory of the late patriarch. During a stop to refuel, he notices the mysterious context and the superstitions displayed by the locals. The tenant expressly advises him to protect himself against bad luck that could be thrown at him in the mountains. Even for a policeman present, they are perceived as pretentious and arrogant townspeople who better be careful. The plane takes off and the trip resumes, but at dusk, they find themselves trapped in a violent storm where lightning makes them lose control of the plane. When he wakes up, Mark finds himself injured in the foot in an unknown house where a woman named Eloise and her husband named Earl orders him to stay in bed. To the legitimate questions asked, they respond with the strength of Gross Louis, who forces him to obey the mysterious couples. Suddenly Eloise blows a powder on his face which immediately puts him to sleep. She makes a voodoo doll in her likeness, while their strong men are already digging the graves planned for several people. Dodging Mark's questions, still trying to hear from his family, whom he hasn't seen since the accident. She introduces him to her boogity, cynically telling him that everything that happens to this doll is reproduced on her person. Handicapped by his sore foot, and watched by the fetish, he finds that all the exits are locked like the window which is open. In the rain, he painfully paces the roofs to the barn from which come songs and drums that resound in the night. All the small town is present to attend the sorcery performance directed by Eloise herself. Earl cuts a cat's tongue, and Lorraine, who is mute, regains her speech thanks to the magical sorcery of these initiates. Under the cheers of the crowd, she continues with Julius, who lost his sight in an accident. Cat's eyes are placed on the boogity and a goat's eyes return vision to the old man, who immediately directs his gaze to the roof, pointing at something. Calling on Gross Louis, the old wizarding couple hasten to check if Mark is in his room. He will dive back into his bed at once, but the open window and his wet face cast doubt on the shrewd old woman, who immediately locks the issue. Waking up from a nightmare and spied on by his boogity, he greedily devours a plate intended for him. Eloise joins him. He flatters her by flattering her talents as a cook, and touched, she goes downstairs to serve it again. He takes advantage of his absence to remove the flap of the bell, making it silent. On her return, she pulls her bones by announcing the next important red moon for a ritual concerning him. She absents herself, leaving him to recompose the mysterious bones. Terrified, he realizes that they are human bones. Mark vomits in terror and recognizes the tattoo of his son. Paralyzed, he becomes aware of the atrocity committed. Using the clapper of the bell, he took the opportunity to discreetly escape. The crows will betray his presence and the howls of Eloise will give the alert to find him. Alone and injured in the rainy night, he managed, not without difficulty, to reach the wreckage of his plane. He finds that it is empty of all corpses. Following in the footsteps of blood, his painful steps lead him towards the glow of a house, when he is violently slammed to the ground by Fat Louie. The same nightmare, and he wakes up seeing the departure in the carriage of the old couple. He discovers that his foot injury is not natural. A huge nail has been planted there. Mark painfully managed to dislodge him before being shocked at the sight of 3 graves in the garden. Digging with his own hands, he discovers farm animals sacrificed and buried there. He then goes to the barn and goes down a trapdoor in search of his family. Among the potions and numerous boogies that represent so many individuals, there is a surprising dusty photograph with Eloise and Earl dating from 1860. There is a grimoire containing all the sorcery formulas and, especially the one planned for the blood moon. Mark makes himself a boogity and hides it under the porch of the house. He finds the cell phones, but is surprised by the unexpected return of the very old couple. In an emergency, he must painfully replace the nail in his foot so as not to be unmasked. Indeed, Eloise first checks the incapacitating object. Thanks to the mobile phone, an unexpected call to 911 reassures him about the state of his family, and the agent tells him above all that he is coming immediately. The police car is there. Mark rushes, but Eloise holds him back violently and silences him thanks to the boogity. He sees the sheriff through the window but can't yell. Has a phone but can't communicate. The prisoner finds a piece of cloth and takes his boogity with it to escape, much to the chagrin of Eloise, who sees him go. Under the red moon, he intercepts help. Placing the stuff like a tongue in the mouth of the boogity, he regains his speech and tells the whole story to the policeman. He is mad with rage at the betrayal of the accomplice lawyer, who brings him back like game to his executioners for sacrifice. At gunpoint, the crowd grabs him and drags him inside to prepare for the ritual. Near the hotel, he sees Viora Samsara and Titan, who are unconscious and cannot hear him. Eloise blows the bewitched powder, which suddenly puts Mark to sleep. Under the red moon, Earl is ready to receive the stolen youth that the sharp blade that Eloise is about to plant in Mark's chest will give him. Suddenly, Mark grabs the blade and sticks it in Earl's heart. He traps the sheriff with one of the old people present, then violently tears him to death. Blood calling for blood, he finds Gross Louis Boogity and places it in the water. In the fighting that ensued, La Grand Brute was nearly killed. But he drowned, and Eloise understood the situation when she found the boogity in the water. The final duel is looming. Eloise barks that she carefully hides her boogity when suddenly, Mark bewitches her by showing her that he has made one for her. Of the violent blow has her boogity. It's sending volley at the bottom of the barn. In the howling flames, she grabs a knife, but he traps her inside using his own magic. He holds the villagers in respect by threatening them with all their boogity under the eyes of Eloise, screaming and doomed to his disastrous fate. Reunited with his family, the lawyer found the strategy burning like the fire that exorcises their misadventure. As they go back home, we see the boogity d'Eloise open his eyes. Thank you for enjoying this exciting film with us. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell. See you soon on Storytime.